Your goals have fundamental flaws, and today I'm going to show you how to fix them with constraints, with the complete framework of accomplishing your goals successfully by focusing on constraints. Let's dive straight in and set sail on your success. Let me start by sharing how my goal failed on trying to start this YouTube channel. For the last several years, I've planned to start this channel with a goal as vague as start a YouTube channel to share the golden nuggets to a successfully balanced life. After months turned into years of preparing, I quickly found myself falling down the rabbit hole of over-preparation, an endless amount of reasons to start tomorrow. I'd planned the perfect setup, research the best equipment, map out content calendars. In years past, nothing happened. Then I discovered something that changed everything. The goal wasn't helping me. It was actually the problem. When I switch from I'm going to start a YouTube channel to a simple constraint, I will replace consuming information to record myself daily and work 1 hour on my channel. That's when everything shifted. Within a month, I had more progress towards my goal than any previous years combined. Let me share the exact steps to implement it, because here's what I discovered. Constraints drive creativity and action, while goals often create paralysis. The goal trap. So let's break this down. Here's what we need to know. Complexity doesn't mean impossibility. We need to break down the goals into milestones, set achievement chunks, and start experimenting immediately. The secret is to focus more on action now, reflection, and shifting your clarity, rather than the perfect game plan. Here's something that's been floating around for decades. Supposedly, Yale researchers studied their 1956 graduating class and found that 3% who wrote down their goals earned more than 97% combined 20 years later. There's just one problem. The study never happened. It's completely fabricated. Yet we've built an entire culture around goal setting based on myths like these. We're told to visualize success, create vision boards, set SMART goals. But research from places like MIT and Stanford tells us a different story. When psychologists actually study high performers, they find something unexpected. The most successful people don't chase goals. They build systems and set constraints. Think about it. When you set a goal like lose 20 pounds or make 6 figures, what happens? You're making a bet on a future you can't fully predict. You're playing someone else's game with their rules. Meanwhile, your brain rebels. You procrastinate. You feel guilty. You blame yourself for lacking willpower. But constraints are different. They're not about the destination. They're about how you travel. They're the rules of your own game. Spend your energy on visioning the day-to-day life of what it would be like once you achieved your goal. This vision should be your guide to map those actions today. Routine realities. Previously, my morning routines were sacred time for comforts, easing out of bed or not. I'd wake up telling myself I needed that sacred hour with my coffee for my happiness. Don't talk to me. I'd just sit there, aimlessly, maybe scrolling through my phone. By 7 a.m. when I was getting ready for work, I was already overstimulated, scattered, fragmented. But for some reason, I always protected this routine fiercely, believing it was self-care. Let me tell you about my mornings now. First constraint I added was no phone for the first 90 minutes. The second constraint was to add coffee for that time frame to reduce afternoon crashes. Now I go for a walk immediately when the sun comes up and then either dive into a workout or deep work. Let me just tell you, incredible results from this behavior. I can get more done in these mornings than some entire weeks. Constraints like these force creativity. They force productivity. Your mornings should be protected for being effective. For example, my phone was used as an escape. But let me say, nothing is better than start moving your body first. Without the mindless dopamine hits, I discovered what actual morning energy feels like. This is being your true morning self. This actually changes behavior. You're not chasing some future state. You're creating boundaries that shape your present actions. The science of constraints. By rephrasing tough situations into learning experiences and self-reflection, you gain the ability to grow rapidly. This classic learning method provides positive opportunities in the entire process. These moments aren't failures, they're lessons. Goals make you focus on the obvious problems you can see. But constraints reveal the invisible patterns, the hidden leverage points that actually matter. Take the moon landing. Everyone talked about Kennedy's goal, put a man on the moon before the decade ends. But NASA engineers will tell you something different. They succeeded because of constraints, severe weight limits, brutal temperature ranges, radiation exposure, limiting computer power. Each constraint forced innovation. They couldn't just throw money at problems, they had to think differently. Richard Feynman, the Nobel Prize physicist, never set a goal to win a Nobel Prize. Instead, he played with problems by imposing arbitrary constraints. What if the system has no friction? What if we ignore the variable? The constraints didn't limit his thinking, they directed it toward breakthrough insights. The energy transformation. I used to think work boiled down to three things: being clever, quality, and time management. I got really good at efficiency, creating systems that let me accomplish more in less time. But here's where I crashed. I created more time and filled it with more work. I was like someone who organized their closet perfectly and then immediately stuffed it with more clothes. The burnout hit me in waves. My energy would spike and crash based on stress, overlapping responsibilities, what time of the year it was. I was winning at the efficiency game but losing at the life game. And let me share the constraint that saved me, and it wasn't about time. It was about energy. I started focusing more on gauging my energy levels and effort, rather than how long something is expected to take. Sure, we can power through things, but start to look at life in 3-day windows rather than single 24-hour days. What you ate, how you slept, and what you did yesterday all factor into your day today. Protect your energy, not just your time. This one constraint revolutionized everything. It forced me to track my energy patterns, to notice what drained me versus what energized me, to design my day around energy management, not just time management. Suddenly, I wasn't just working smarter, I was working sustainably. The hidden cost of goal chasing. Part of setting constraints involves sacrifices. We're essentially removing or setting limits to our life for greater objective. But if you're not careful about checking the balance, this can quickly harm areas you didn't intend to impact. Here's a valuable life lesson I learned. I was working full-time while launching an Airbnb business and nurturing a brand new relationship. My constraints seemed logical, I felt energized and motivated, but in this pursuit, I cut social activities, skipped family gatherings, eliminated fun for these work goals. Man, my friends got tired of hearing, "Sorry, I don't have time." The relationships I was supposedly building this future for were being destroyed in the present by my actions. Here's what I missed. Not all constraints are created equal. Some constraints create space for what matters. Others accidentally eliminate what matters. The difference? Intentionality. Be clear, be thoughtful. When you set constraints like no meetings before noon, you're protecting your creative energy. When you set constraints like no social activities until the business succeeds, you're potentially destroying the very support system that makes success sustainable. Balance. Practical constraint design. It's amazing how different it looks when you shift the angle a bit. That's the pattern we're establishing here. Encounter, understand, overcome, integrate. Each concept we master becomes a tool for the next challenge. So how do you actually design effective constraints? Let me give you the exact framework I use. Step 1, identify the behavior pattern. Don't ask, what do I want to achieve? Instead ask, what do I keep doing that isn't serving me? For me, it was endless planning without action. Step 2, create a boundary, not destination. Instead of become a successful YouTuber, the destination, try spend 1 hour daily on content creation, the boundary. Step 3, make it identity-based. The best constraints reflect who you are, not what you want. I don't check email before my important work, versus I want to be more productive. One shapes identity, the other chases outcome. Step 4, start ridiculously small. Your constraint should feel almost too easy. Write 50 words daily, not write for 2 hours straight. You can always exceed the constraint, but you must be able to meet it on your worst day. Step 5, design for energy, not just for time. Consider when you have energy for different constraints. No deep work after 3 p.m. might serve you better than forcing yourself through low energy hours. Here are constraints that transform my clients' lives. I only take calls between 2 to 5 p.m. I don't work with clients who drain my energy. I write before I consume any content. I don't make important decisions when I'm tired. Notice how none of these are goals. They're all boundaries that shape behavior. When goals still matter. Let me be clear about something. I'm not saying never set goals. They're very important. You have to know where you're going, and you should hold tightly to your vision. There are specific situations where goals work brilliantly. Running a marathon, you need that specific 26.5-mile target. Taking an exam, you need that passing score. Shipping a product, you need that launch date. Goals work when the goal is already defined, the rules are clear, the timeline is finite, success is measurable. But for most of life's important stuff, building a career, creating art, developing relationships, finding purpose, constraints beat goals every time. Think of it this way. Goals work for games other people created. Constraints help you create your own game. Constraints build your ultimate self. I've created a community of people trying to accomplish just this, the pioneers on School. If you're interested in accountability and a roadmap to becoming your ultimate self with purpose, you can check out the link below. Your constraint blueprint. Here's an action plan to implement this immediately. Follow this blueprint. This week, pick one area you've been stuck. Maybe it's fitness, creating something, your relationship, something at work. Identify one behavior you want to change. Create one simple constraint. Just one. You can always add more later. During this month, track how often you honor this constraint. Don't track outcomes, track adherence. Yes or no. That's it. Just a check mark. You can add rewards, an objective such as don't miss twice. If you're successful or ambitious, which I hope you are, try adding more. Note that first constraints become automatic, usually between 3 to 4 weeks. It's a lot easier to add them after that. Remember, you're not trying to achieve something specific. You're building a system that makes achievement inevitable. Breaking personal patterns is incredibly challenging, and we must embrace being kind and patient to ourselves while making changes in our day-to-day. Your goal should be curiosity and personally experimenting, asking yourself thoughtful questions. Great progress can happen by setting constraints, the boundaries you honor, and the space you create for what truly matters to you. What's one constraint, one simple boundary that you can set today, not tomorrow, today? Because remember, constraints aren't about the future. They're about shaping the choices you make right now, unleashing your true potential. Start small. Start now. To sail even further to personal truth, check out this video on why seeking happiness is an illusion. See you there, crew.